Lemons are a fruit widely used in daily life, from cooking and making drinks to cleaning and deodorizing. However, lemons wilt easily, dry out quickly, or become moldy if not stored properly, especially when bought in large quantities. Many people experience lemons wrinkling, drying out, or spoiling after only a few days, which is very wasteful. Therefore, in today's content, I will share a simple tip to help preserve fresh lemons for longer, with very easy steps to do at home. First, prepare a basket of fresh green lemons. To preserve lemons for a long time, choose lemons that are still fresh, with evenly green skin, firm to the touch, and especially with the stems still attached. Lemons with stems usually lose less water, wilt slower, and are less susceptible to bacterial contamination than lemons with the stems removed. After selecting, wash the lemons by placing them all in a large bowl. Next, I put baking soda in a bowl. Then poured clean water over the lemons until they were completely submerged. Once the lemons were submerged, I gently stirred them around to ensure the baking soda evenly coated the peel, helping to remove dirt, residue, and impurities left over from harvesting and transportation. Then, I soaked the lemons for about 5 to 10 minutes for more effective cleaning, but not for too long to avoid damaging the peel. After soaking, I removed the lemons and rinsed them thoroughly with clean water to completely remove the baking soda. Finally, I placed the lemons in a colander to drain, then used paper towels to dry each lemon, paying particular attention to the stem, ensuring they were completely dry before storage. The drier the lemons, the less likely they are to spoil and the longer they can be stored. Tip number 1. Preserving lemons with paper and glass jars. After the lemons have been thoroughly cleaned and dried, I proceed with the first preservation method using paper and glass jars. First, I prepare a clean jar, preferably a glass jar with a tight-fitting lid to prevent air and moisture from entering. Next, I place a clean sheet of paper at the bottom of the jar. This layer of paper absorbs moisture, preventing the lemons from becoming waterlogged during preservation. Then, I arrange the lemons in the jar, making sure to only layer them a maximum of 2 layers, and not too tightly to avoid bruising the fruit. Once the first 2 layers of lemons are arranged, I place another layer of paper on top, and then add another layer of lemons if there is still space in the jar. This alternating layering of paper and lemons helps to absorb moisture evenly between the layers, preventing the lemons from becoming soggy or moldy. After arranging the lemons, I seal the jar tightly and place it in the refrigerator to preserve them. With this method, the lemons can stay fresh for about 2 to 4 weeks while remaining juicy. During storage, I usually check the lemons periodically, about every 5 to 7 days. If I see that the paper inside is very damp, I will replace it with fresh paper to ensure the environment inside the jar remains dry. This preservation method is very suitable for families who frequently use lemons, helping to keep them fresh and minimize spoilage, thus avoiding waste. Tip number 2. Preserving lemons by soaking them in salt water. With this second method, we'll preserve lemons using salt water. This method is very simple, but preserves them for quite a long time. First, put the lemons in a clean jar, arranging them just enough, without pressing them too tightly. Once the jar is full, set it aside and start preparing the salt water. Prepare a large cup, then pour about 1 liter of filtered water into it. Next, add a spoonful of coarse salt, then stir until the salt is completely dissolved in the water. The salt water doesn't need to be too salty, just enough to create an environment that inhibits bacteria. After preparing the salt water, slowly pour it into the jar of lemons, making sure to completely submerge them. Submerging the lemons prevents them from coming into contact with air, thus limiting spoilage. Once enough water has been added, seal the jar tightly. Finally, I put the jar of lemons in the refrigerator to preserve them. With this brine method, lemons can be preserved for about 3 to 6 months and still be usable. This method is very suitable for families who buy lemons in large quantities, use them infrequently, or want to store lemons for long-term use without worrying about them spoiling. Tip number 3. Wrap lemons in paper and Ziploc bags. This third tip is perfect for preserving lemons for a long time, from about 6 to 12 months, especially when buying a large quantity but not using them frequently. The method is quite simple and easy to do at home. First, spread out a paper towel on a clean, flat surface. Then, place each lemon on the paper and fold the paper to completely wrap the lemon. The paper towel absorbs moisture, preventing condensation and limiting mold growth during storage. After wrapping, use a rubber band to gently secure it, tying just enough so the paper doesn't come undone, avoiding tying it too tightly to crush the lemon. Next, arrange the wrapped lemons in Ziploc bags. When arranging, keep the lemons neat and tidy, without overcrowding them to maintain their shape and freshness. After putting all the lemons into the bag, I squeeze out the excess air from the Ziploc bag and then seal it tightly. Finally, I put the Ziploc bag of lemons in the refrigerator or freezer, depending on my needs. With this method of wrapping in paper and a Ziploc bag, the lemons are kept dry. Thanks to the paper wrapping, the moisture on the surface of the lemons is better controlled, reducing condensation. Tip number 4. Preserving lemons with plastic wrap. Preserving lemons with plastic wrap is a simple yet very effective way to keep them fresh and prevent dehydration for weeks. This method is especially suitable for those who want to preserve lemons for a long time without altering their natural flavor. First, cut a piece of plastic wrap large enough to completely wrap one lemon. Then, place the lemon in the center of the wrap and wrap it around the lemon several times, ensuring the entire surface is covered. Pay attention to wrapping the stem area carefully, as this is where moisture escapes most easily. If not wrapped properly, the lemon will dry out faster. After wrapping each lemon, place the wrapped lemons in an airtight jar and close the lid. Putting the lemons in a jar helps prevent bumps and bruising during storage. Finally, place the jar of lemons in the refrigerator to preserve them. With this method, lemons can stay fresh for about 3 to 4 weeks. If the lemons were initially very fresh and properly cleaned and dried, the storage time can be extended. This method is ideal for families who want to preserve lemons for a relatively long time, using them gradually each day while maintaining their flavor and quality almost as good as new. When needed, I simply take the lemon out and cut it open. At this point, I can clearly see that the lemon is still very fresh. The peel isn't dry or wrinkled, the flesh inside is juicy, the juice is plentiful, and the aroma remains the same as when it was first purchased. This shows that the above preservation methods help prevent the lemon from losing moisture and keep it perfectly usable even after a long period of storage. So, with the simple lemon preservation tips I just shared, you can easily keep lemons fresh, juicy, and usable for a long time without worrying about them drying out or spoiling. Depending on your needs and the amount you use, you can choose a suitable method, such as using paper and glass jars, soaking in salt water, wrapping in paper with Ziploc bags, or wrapping with plastic wrap. When you need to use them, simply take a lemon out, cut it, and you'll see that it's still fresh and juicy, with the flavor almost unchanged. These tips not only save money, but also reduce food waste in daily life. Hopefully, today's sharing will help you preserve lemons more effectively and conveniently in your life. If you find it useful, don't forget to share it with your family and friends. Thank you for watching, and see you again in the next helpful tips.